So, part of the series, how to improve yourself by intentionally doing things so you can understand what needs to get done and how it needs to get done. Most of us ride by instincts and ride by gut, but when you start to intentionally do things, that is what improves your riding. So the first session, the first thing which I understood very late is to actually, it didn't even dawn on me for a long time, but now I think it's the first thing you need to do to have, if you ever want to improve your riding, is know your bike. You gotta know your bike. And what I mean by that is not, oh, I know the cc, the horsepower, and no. When you ride the bike, you gotta know the bike. That means, what does the bike brake like? Does it brake very, very quick? Does it brake slow? How is the lever? How much do I need to squeeze the lever for the brakes to go? How much to let go of the clutch to start the bike? How much is the rear brake if I need to ever use it, and all that stuff. That's what knowing your bike is. If you know your bike, you can do things on it that other people are doing on better bikes, because you know your bike much, much better. So the first thing I would always recommend anybody to, when you're talking about knowing your bike, is know your bike braking. When your bike is braking, how much does it need to brake? How much distance does it need? What kind of brakes it is? Does it feel good? Does it feel intentional? Does it feel intended? Does it feel like right away? Does it feel like there is a little squeeze in there? What we call spongy brakes. Every bike is different. So know your bike, and by knowing my braking is the first thing you want to know on your bike. You want to know, if you have an auto blip and all that stuff. So that's my point. Know your bike. How to brake, when to brake, how long does it take to brake, what is the squeeze feel like. That's what I think the first thing you need to do. You gotta know your bike. The second thing you need to know on your bike is, how does the gearing feel? How does the first gear feel? How much room do I have in first gear? How much room do I have in second gear? How much room do I have in third gear? Fourth gear, fifth gear, most bikes, by the time you get to fourth and fifth gear, you're almost at the same level, at the same pace and everything like that. But to know your bike intentionally, you need to know how your gearing is. How much room do you have in first gear? How much room do you have in second gear? A big super sports bike, a lot of room. First gear, second gear, third gear. Most of the time you don't even need to hit fourth gear and all that stuff. On smaller bikes, first gear is nothing, second gear is more, third. So there's always a gear in your bike that is the most forgiving gear. You got to know that gear. Which one is that? Is it second? Is it third? Mostly it's third, but you got to know your bike. These are the two things that will make you very confident on your bike. One is braking. To know your brakes, to know the capacity of your brakes, to know the intention of your brakes, to know when they act and when they don't act and how much and all that stuff. And the second is gearing. First gear, how much room? Second gear, how much room? Third gear, how much room? How much speed can I carry in first gear before changing gears? How much room can I carry in second? How much can I carry in third, fourth, fifth? That intentionally knowing your bike is the first step in becoming a better rider. A 400cc bike, if a guy knows how to ride it, can outperform a 1000cc bike on particular turns and particular, we see that all the time on the track. But my point is, because you know your bike, if you give a 1000cc bike rider a 400cc bike, he would not know what he's doing. There will be so much learning, like, oh really, the second gear doesn't have anything? The third gear, oh, fourth gear carries everything. So all these things are there, and I have seen it because I normally ride 1000cc, 950cc bikes and all that stuff. When I sat on a 400cc bike, I'm like, whoa, it's not going anywhere. And then I realized, well, you're trying to do it in second gear. It's not going to work in second gear. You got to go higher to do what you want it to be doing. So knowing your bike is the first step on doing what you need to do. And how do you know your bike? You got to know your braking. You got to know your gearing. You got to know your RPM limits. You got to know all these things. And all these things happen by riding your bike over and over again and testing it, pushing it to the limits, and then finding out what the limits are. Once you know your limits, then you work on improving your skills. But knowing your bike is the first thing, the first step of doing everything you need to do in your riding journey. Know your damn bike. Braking, gearing, whatever else you think you need to know on your bike while you're riding. Not looking at it, not pretty, not all that other things and horsepower, this and no. The feel of the bike, the braking of the bike, the gearing of the bike, the RPMs or the limits on the bike, how does it feel, what kind of suspension it has, does it feel stiff, if it feels stiff, then you need to know. If it feels like it is too soft, you need to know. And you only get that by riding your bike over and over again, intentionally, not just riding it and figuring it out, it's good. No. When I did that, what happened there? When I did that, what happened there? And the best way to do this is to go on the same road over and over again. Find a patch of a road that you think is the most convenient for you around your house and keep riding that patch over and over again. You ride your patch over and over again. The things that you were doing the first time you rode it, by the time that you rode it the 10th time, the 11th time, by intentionally pushing your bike, you want it to be pushed, you will be doing it differently. You will be doing it better. You will be understanding it better. So this is my tip. Know your bike. And how do you know your bike is? By doing the same road over and over again. Near your house, pick a road, pick a patch that you want to do it over and over again, and keep pushing your bike in every gear you can. Keep turning, whatever you need to do, but learn your bike on the same road, learn your bike over and over again. It'll make you a much confident rider because you know your bike and you're doing the same road over and over again. So you know how much you know, and are you getting better at knowing your bike. That's how you do it. That's how I did it. That's how I got better on my Suzuki Boulevard 800 that I used to have. C50, it's an 800cc bike. So that's how I got better. I got worse again, but that's a different story altogether, and we'll talk about it some other time. But that's how I got better on a bike that was not much of a bike. It was a very slow bike, but I got better at it because I knew my bike. I was outperforming people with better bikes on that bike. So know your bike and keep testing it on the same road over and over again. That's my first tip. Thank you. Next week, we'll talk about something else.